Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, guys? Sergeant Moose here, back with another The Texas Chainsaw Massacre video, and today, guys, we have some more interesting news to talk about here on the channel. Of course, yesterday, we found an interview. We went over the video regarding the interview with Gunn regarding some of these new characters and the new map. We found out some of the characters' abilities, how they're going to work, and we also found out that the new Graveyard map is going to offer the long-awaited new escape. But what could the new escape be? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today on the video. Also, we have some new lore regarding the family member and the victim and the graveyard. New lore around these characters and also some deep diving into their abilities. So without further ado, guys, Gunn did release an overview of the graveyard that gives us a little bit of a different look at it. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at that video, and then we'll jump in and deep dive into some of this interesting stuff. Let's get into it. Alright, guys, so first things first, I don't think you need me to tell you, but this map is absolutely stunning, man. That is one thing with Gunn. Every single map that they bring to the game just looks better and better, and they're also very detailed, as you can see here in the video. Obviously, it's bringing, again, the element of the rain from the gas station, which was the first map that we saw it on, and it's amplifying it times 100, and what I mean by that, guys, is you can see all the water around the map. Of course, it's flooded. There's got to be a water source nearby. It looks as if half of the map at least is flooded, and it is just beautiful. It's eerie, it's scary, it's the perfect horror environment in my opinion, and I hope they crank this map up to where we're playing it all the time at the start, because it looks freaking badass. But first things first, guys, we're going to talk about escape options, because one thing we do know for sure, if you guys saw my video yesterday, it has been confirmed, there's going to be a new escape option in this map, and I have a few ideas of what it may be. They all could be wrong, who knows, but we're going to spitball anyway with these ideas, and a few concerns as well that we'll talk about. So, you know, upon the first look at the map, obviously, especially in this video we just saw here, the map is super flooded. I mean, there's water everywhere. The water looks deep. It's obviously coming in from a river or a nearby creek. Yes, I'm from Pennsylvania, so we say creek. Please don't judge me. I know it's creek, but yeah, so it's flooded, so that immediately leads me to believe that there could be a boat escape. Now, obviously, we've seen in Friday the 13th, which is Gunn's game, there was a boat escape. That also carried over to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Not a Gunn game, but it is from Ilphonic, who made Friday the 13th, also had a boat escape, so why not have a boat escape in this game? I think it makes perfect sense. You know, maybe you have to find, similar to Friday the 13th, you have to find parts for the boat, you know, get it all working, ready to go, and then you can peel out and go. My concern with that is that, you know, one victim could kind of get selfish, go find the parts and leave by themselves, eliminating an escape for all the other victims. But we'll talk about that here in a second. Another idea I had for the escape is obviously when Wyatt pulled up to the gravesite, he pulled up in his truck. Obviously from there he was captured or, you know, had an altercation with the family. So obviously his truck is still there. I had this thought, and I think it would be perfect. Actually, my favorite of my ideas is that the truck could possibly be an escape. Again, it could be like the boat where you have to find parts for it, maybe the keys, stuff like that, to be able to take this truck away. And it could hopefully accommodate all 4 victims, but if you're not there in time, someone leaves, then, you're just left behind. But I think it would be a really cool homage to the original film. Obviously, a lot of this game, pays homages to the original film. I think it could be cool if, you left in the truck with multiple victims and have one victim in the truck bed, laughing and crying hysterically like Sally did in the first film in a cinematic as it's driving away. Especially if you have like Leatherface chasing while they're getting ready. I think that would just be absolutely epic. It remains to be seen. There's a possibility it's not going to happen, but I think it'd be really cool. Another idea, too, obviously we saw in the initial trailer, we saw the bell being rang at the top of the steeple of the bell tower there of the mausoleum or the church. That could be another possibility. By the way, guys, I just wanted to speak on the church real quick. It looks beautiful. It looks awesome. And this is one thing, without tooting my own horn too much, this is one thing that I mentioned for many, many months on my streams when we were talking about new maps. Of course, I said that, the one I wanted to see the most was the graveyard or cemetery because obviously we saw a cemetery in the first film. And a lot of folks asked, well, how could you have a basement if there's a cemetery? You got to have a basement. And I, simply said, well, you could just have a mausoleum or a church sitting in the graveyard. And of course, you could have the basement below that. And that's exactly what we got here. So I'm happy about that. So we do have the mausoleum. We have a basement in it. Assuming it probably won't go too far under the graveyard. I'm actually wondering how big this basement's going to be. It could be the smallest basement of every map. We'll see. It could be big. Who knows? But we do know we have a basement. But back to the bell tower, guys. A lot of folks have bring up the possibility, and it kind of makes sense if you think of Rush Week. You make the phone call, you hit the fuse box, make the phone call, or you go to the car, start the car, call the CB. For help, and then you have a timer until the police arrive. Well, maybe this could be similar to the bell tower that's in the church. Obviously, it's very, very loud. It could alert nearby citizens or nearby police that could come, initiate a timer and, come save the victims. Now, with these 3 ideas that we have, guys, and this, the optional escape could be something completely different than all 3 of these, but with these 3 ideas, they do have some concerns, and some could be contradictory as well. So my concerns being basically, if you eliminate an escape, say you eliminate the pressure valve escape, or just as an example, you eliminate the pressure valve escape in this map, and then you make a truck escape or a boat escape one of the 4, but as soon as a victim goes to leave this escape, say it's a Connie who, rushes out of the basement, she makes it to the truck or the boat, whatever it may be, and she just peels out and leaves herself. Well, then you're leaving the other 3 victims with only 3 escapes, and, you possibly have a hands in the match, which is going to make it very, very difficult for the victims to escape. So, my thing is if this new escape cannot accommodate all 4 victims at any given time, I think you have to leave the original 4 escapes in the map and also include this one as a 5th escape. Kind of like the gas station, how it has 5 different escapes. Maybe you could make it to where, if this one can't accommodate everybody, maybe it can be in a zone where another escape is, say battery or generator, something like that. But I don't think you can make a primary escape not accommodate all 4 victims. But that remains to be seen. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll just be tougher. But that remains to be seen. We'll see when that time comes. Now, as far as the bell theory goes, a lot of folks have been talking about Rush Week with, ringing the bell, maybe initiating a 5-minute timer. Family has to hurry and kill everybody, or else the victims just win by default after the timer's up. But this would also be contradictory to the lore as well, because this would be assuming that the victims actually permanently escaped from the family because they got help from the police, which would not really make sense and fall into this lore, because as we know, these victims, this is a prequel to the film, and unfortunately all these victims die before the original film, so it wouldn't make any sense for any of them to be rescued by police or nearby citizens. So I'm kind of ruling the Bell one out, personally. Like I said, it could possibly still happen. I'm ruling it out, so I'm thinking it's got to be narrowed down to either the boat or the truck, but it could be something completely different. But that's my theory. Let me know down in the comments, guys, what your theories are on these new escape methods. Maybe we'll see something else. But we do have some more lore, and we have more insight into these characters' abilities coming in. So we did see this on the hub. It was just posted today by Sydney Silva. Meet Bones and Wyatt. Learn about the newest characters arriving to the world of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on December 12th. Now, it's going to bring new characters. Our new victim, played by Skeet Ulrich, obviously from Scream, and Riverdale, is a bull-riding, knife-throwing man named Wyatt. Born in the same area as the Slaughter family, but moving to Lubbock, Texas when he was young, Wyatt is no stranger to tragedy. He was incredibly close to his older brother, Casey, who only knew how to get into trouble and ride bulls. The latter eventually led to Casey's untimely death. Wyatt, already a loner by nature and unable to process his grief any other way, throws himself into bull riding to honor Casey's legacy. One night after winning a bull riding competition, Wyatt finally feels like he's made Casey proud and travels to the burial site of his late brother. Discovering that his brother's grave has been damaged, he goes toe-to-toe with the newest deadly addition to the Slaughter family, Bones. Armed with excellent aim, Wyatt's star sign ability is called Knife Throw. This allows him to throw knives at family members in order to stun them. Through his ability tree, players can choose to increase the number of knives Wyatt starts with, or have his knives throws reveal the family members he stunned to all victims. Now, alongside Wyatt's knife throw, guys, his abilities has some upgrades. These include interesting, unique perks. Dauntless at level 1. Wyatt has a 30% chance per throwing knife of retrieving it by getting close to the family member who was hit and stunned by the knife. So a 30% chance, guys. This is at level 1. Will this bump up to 40 and 50 possibly? I'm thinking so. We'll see. Second one is Blind Spot at level 1. Hitting Grandpa with a throwing knife makes Wyatt undetectable by him for his next scream. Also, the amount of Grandpa's blood is reduced by 30. So if you're going to... it's again, we're getting kind of into Maria territory here. If you hit Grandpa with a knife, throwing knife, you can completely, basically have one free overlooked for Wyatt to avoid Grandpa's next scream. And it's going to bring his blood down. So, if they Grandpa hits level 3 or even level 1, get suffocating grip, exterior alarms, you can guarantee you can bring that down, take that away for a limited amount of time, and not be noticed by his next scream. Now, the next third unique ability is called Versatile. At level 1, if at least one throwing knife is in Wyatt's inventory, bone chimes can be cut down and does not consume a knife. Cutting down bone charms is 30% faster whether they are cut down by a throwing knife or a bone scrap. So, there you go, guys. If you have this ability equipped and you have a knife with Wyatt, you do not need bone charms to cut down... bone shards to cut down bone charms. You can just use the knife, which is pretty freaking sweet. So getting into Bones now, guys. Bones is a lethal addition to the already terrifying Slaughter family, played by horror legend Bill Moseley. A wacky, out-of-sorts character, Bones holds down the role of a local mortician in Muerto County. He uses this to his advantage in order to cover up the heinous crimes of the family. With a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde complex, Bones turns from kooky to frightening, eager to join in on the chaos and violence. With his gore bomb ability, he brings a frenzied energy to any match by placing bombs on most vertical surfaces. When they detonate, the reckless victim that gets caught in its range will receive damage and will be revealed to the family for a short duration of time. The detonation site should be important to a player because Bones can pick up spark plugs from the exploded gore bomb and use it to craft more bombs from blood buckets. So, those of you that suggested that Bones would be able to use blood buckets to craft gore bombs, you were absolutely correct. He's going to need spark plugs and he's going to need blood buckets to craft these. So he's not going to have them always readily available, and this is very important. This is also very good for victims. He's not going to have these bombs at his disposal like Hitch and Hans and Nancy, who, just reset them if they get broke or move them around freely. It's not going to work like that. Players can change up Bones' builds through various paths on his ability tree. For instance, players can choose an upgrade called Thrilled that allows Bones to become Thrilled for 45 seconds, reducing his stamina consumption by 50% and increasing his damage by either 25 or 50 against victims hit by a gore bomb. Players can choose to have Bones make gore bombs from empty or full blood buckets without using blood, as well as retrieving a spark plug from a detonated gore bomb to give him a full blood vial. So a lot of versatility there on Bones' ability tree, guys. That's going to be pretty sweet. Continuing to shake up gameplay, Bones' unique perks gives him the ability to hunt down victims in ways players haven't seen before. With his perk Restless, he can jump out of windows. The unique perk called No Escape lets Bones jump down wells. Another highlight is the perk Hunting Enthusiast that gives Bones the ability to crawl over barricades. So, a few things to take away from this, guys. Now, on paper, you might think to yourself, holy crap, this guy's OP. But remember, for him to do any of this, for him to be able to jump down a well, for him to be able to jump out of a window, and for him to be able to jump over a barricade, he needs a perk equipped, similar to Hands with his Barrier Breaker. And if I was an assuming guy, if I was a gambling guy, I'm not, but I would say that these three perks are on separate paths in the skill tree. I would think that you can't run them all together. Maybe you can, but it remains to be seen. I would kind of honestly hope they were on the same path in the skill tree. That way you could have different loadouts with Bones for different maps, but it remains to be seen. But he cannot, it's important to know, he can't do any of this stuff if you don't have the perks equipped. So you're going to have to choose wisely when you're equipping your perks, because obviously that's going to take up a slot. So, and then it goes on to say what Bill Moseley said about being in the game. We talked about that on yesterday's video, guys. This is the new victim, Wyatt, the new family member. Wyatt's going to be having a lot of time with Grandpa over there. Being able to stun him, not be seen by him. He's going to be able to stun the family members, of course, cut down Bones without the use of bone shards. He's going to have a really cool kit with his knives. Bones as well, man, brings a lot of versatility to the game. A lot of stuff we haven't seen before. Obviously, the first family member that can negotiate barricades and chase victims over barricades. And again, guys, too, like if you saw Bones jumping down the well, it's not like he jumps down and lands on his feet and just starts taking off. I mean, he has a cooldown period just like the victim. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. We'll see how it works. And I also wanted to mention, guys, I haven't mentioned it in yesterday's video. I totally forgot. But these characters, Bones and Wyatt, will have their blackout outfits day one. So they will also arrive on the 12th, which is awesome. I was a little worried about that. I thought maybe it would be months and months later, but it's not the case. So absolute W, guys, from what I can see here. Obviously, the update hasn't been out yet, but everything on paper here just looks amazing. That is it, guys, for the video, man. That's our speculation for the escapes. Of course, more lore on Bones and Wyatt. If we find anything out before the update, we will surely let you know. But we're getting geared up for December 12th, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. My name's Sergeant Moose. We'll see you guys on the next video.